We can now go to London to speak to economist and founder and CEO of Meyer Resources, Cornelia Meyer. Cornelia, thank you so much for joining me. Great to have you on the show. Global markets are in a flux as Trump says the US doing really well on tariff policy. How deep is the sell-off in markets and what are the ramifications long term?
Well, thank you so much for having me, Leanne. Well, the sell-off in the market is actually quite big, but I think what's even worse than the sell-off is this, tariffs, then reprieve, and then you don't know what's happening. So investors really don't know where they're going. So you see markets in gigantic gyrations, whipsaws, and we used to be used to whipsaws in billions. We're now talking to whipsaws in the trillions. So this is very bad for investors. It is also very bad for companies because they don't know where to invest the next dollar to realign their supply chains.
Cornelia, actually, as we were talking earlier, Trump has paused tariffs on everyone but China for 90 days. And this has caused a major backlog for businesses around the world. What does a pause actually in supplies mean for global trade?
Well, it's not a it's a temporary reprieve, but you don't know where it's going, and it's very bad. Let's say you're an exporter in Germany, you don't know, when are you loading the ship to bring the goods to the States. You don't know when they will be hit with tariffs, whether they will be hit with tariffs. It's an impossible situation in terms of pricing. So it's huge instability for anybody who's involved in trade.
JP Morgan's boss has warned the US economy is facing considerable turbulence. Trump's senior advisor says the president wants 90 deals in 90 days. How realistic is this?
This is not terribly realistic. And I see what Trump is doing. He's trying a sort of divide and rule approach. He doesn't like the EU because the EU is big, has materiality. So he wants to negotiate country by country by country, which is obviously very time consuming. So people will be rushed to come to some sort of an agreement. So you may get some agreements, but this is really an uphill battle. And again, it's bad in terms of stability. It's bad in terms of how the US is viewed. It totally undermines the rules-based trading system that was created essentially after the Second World War by the United States and has served the United States well. So this is in terms of long-term standing for the US, not good news. You see how the bond market reacted. It's a huge sell-off in treasuries. You see also that the Federal Reserve, the central bank of the US, a very senior official has said he thinks inflation this year in the US will be 4% or above.
There's been a lot of speculation that Trump has been manipulating the markets. What is your analysis of this?
That's really very hard to say because President Trump is so erratic that you don't know where is the attention, where is there no intention. What was a bit unfortunate, I think, for him is that he yesterday or early today in the Oval Office said, so and so made so and so many billions, so and so made so many billions. That might not have been helpful.
Investors are putting their money in gold, the Swiss franc and the Japanese yen, as they normally do in times of turbulence. But why are these such safe havens right now?
Well, you look at Japan, especially Japan is the first country that basically came out and Trump said we'll have a negotiation. Switzerland, and Japan is also the largest investor in the US, so they'll probably come to an agreement. Switzerland is also for such a tiny nation, a pretty big investor in the US, especially in the sort of high-tech sector and so on. So they will probably get there. So that helps. Gold is, when when there's a fear of inflation, people always flee to gold. Also, gold is very liquid. You saw when the first tariffs, the first onslaught of the tariffs came, that there was quite a bit of selling of gold because it's liquid and people had to meet their margin calls and they didn't want to have all their stocks unwound. So they unwound some gold. So they're now going back into gold because, you know, the next margin call may come.
Cornelia, a lot of people in America support Donald Trump on this, on reducing the trade deficit that we see with other countries. Do you think that tariffs are ever going to achieve the aim that Trump has?
No, I don't think it's going to achieve it. And what I see is that, you know, again, he's undermining the rules-based system. He's undermining the status of the dollar. So I think there will be some long-term damage for the US. And when you look at history, generally the countries that put on the tariffs are in the long run the countries that suffer the most.
Cornelia Meyer, absolutely brilliant to have you on the show and your insights. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so very much, Leanne.